What's going on YouTube? Today I actually switched over my 4-part system. So all the bottles emptied out, so I swapped it over with a new one. And yeah, I figured while I was swapping them out, I figured I make a new video just to do an update on the product, because it's been some time. So anyways, let's do this. So before I had the Red Sea 4 Complete Reef Care 4-part system, this is what I used to dose. You know, your regular calcium, magnesium, alkalinity. Very simple. This is what a lot of hobbyists are doing. And then also I used to chase a lot of numbers, and I was dabbling into more of the trace things besides just this. I actually got this iron bottle, but after I did get it, I kind of heard horror stories about this killing tanks. So this never actually even touched my tank. I do use it for my freshwater tank because it is a planted aquarium. Then I was dosing a little bit of potassium, and I was also dosing iodine. So I don't dose anything without testing for it. Obviously I have a iron test kit, I have a potassium test kit by Saliford, and I have an iodine test kit. Nothing really gets into my tank without me dosing. I do not recommend you start dosing something without knowing what your parameters are. You know, if you look at this, it's like, oh, that seems a little complicated. You know, it seems a little too intricate. And it kind of is, because I mean, this was set in auto doser, so I wasn't too worried about this. This was just basically like a set and forget. But these had to manually dose them because I didn't have any more room in my 4-part dosing equipment. Well, you see 3 here. My 4th one was actually no-pox, the carbon that I use. So yeah, I mean, definitely I don't use this anymore. As you can see, it's a lot more to juggle, and I've heard horror stories about people overdosing iodine. Yeah, and like I said, let's not even talk about this, because yeah, I do not recommend this for a saltwater mixed reef tank, especially with tangs. So yeah, you know, I wanted to get a little bit more into detail, because I know in the first video, in my part 1, I basically just said, you just gave more color, more growth, all those things, and I talked about the price point. Somebody actually commented saying, and which was a great point, that they have a 300-gallon system, and it was kind of not worth it for them, too pricey. For what you were getting. There was no value, but we'll talk about value here in a second. So it has been 10 days since my last water change. Obviously, we all know that once you do it, if it's a heavy enough of a water change, it will stabilize your parameters. It will bring your alkalinity up, especially if you're using really, really good salt. I figured after almost 2 weeks of not having to do a water change, do a water test. So to really see how stable everything is using just this. And I'm proud to inform you guys that it is stable. To the point where I got a second one, and so I'm gonna be continuing using this moving forward. I will say this, I did test while I was using the 4-part. I also actually tested for iron, potassium, and iodine, just to see, because this actually doses it for you. I think it's what is it, 3 and 4 are iodine, potassium, and iron. So I was just curious, because not a lot of people test for that. And I was just curious to see how good it is. Like, how stable is it? I will say they were high. They weren't crazy high where they were giving me any problems. These test kits actually give you, like, you know, the chart where you're supposed to, they give you like a recommended number, and then you can see if you're over that or under it. All 3 of them, they were over it, but nothing too high. You know, they're all under safe parameters, but that's something to know. So yeah, keep that in mind. So yeah, definitely happy to report that this product will keep your aquarium stable consistently. I never had any swings. Like I said, I was testing a lot too, just to see. So you don't have to worry about swings unless they come out with a faulty product or anything like that. But my first use of this, everything was stable from beginning all the way to end. I've been doing videos on my tank and updates, so you guys can look at those videos, and I haven't lost anything, and everything's just been thriving. So there's no complaints there. So let's move in a little bit in the value. I want to dabble into my perspective on the value of this has changed, like I mentioned before, thanks to a comment that you guys actually left. So the comment was that he had a 300-gallon system. This is not, it wasn't worth it for him as far as value goes. And I agree with that. I thought about it too. I was like, wait, unless Red Sea comes out with, so this is the biggest one they have. They actually have 3 sizes. This one's rated for 160 gallon. Yeah, imagine having a 250 or even 300 gallon system. How much of this would you be dosing? And this is almost $200. And I have well under the recommended grade for this for water volume, so it actually ended up lasting me close to 4 months. When you're around 160 gallons, the value is there. And once you start reaching 250, 300, that's when I don't see value. Unless Red Sea comes out with more volume, 250, 300 box, which would be interesting. I do think that the reason Red Sea just came out with this one is because not a lot of people are keeping more than 150. Like I'm sure they did like a test on like the market. Most hobbyists stay around the 40 to 120 gallon range, so only time will tell. We'll see. For you that commented, thank you so much for that comment, and we'll see. Maybe Red Sea will come out with something graded for your water volume so you can use this product as well. When I was just using these alongside with the carbon, which would have been my 4th one, I was around the $150 mark. So I'm basically paying $30 more to use this. I broke it all down and did the math. So, you know, that's not too bad. I mean, like I said, you saw what I used before. So paying $30 more just to get the full benefits without having to complicate myself too much, I think it's worth it. Like I mentioned before, this is what the app looks like. Let's say this is the part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. So if you want to, for example, just like I mentioned before, this will not tweak anything but the calcium. If you go to part 2, for example, and you scroll down, and then I don't know if you can see it's grayed out. You can't adjust it. It's grayed out. It just won't let you. Any of the part 2, 3, or 4, it's all the same. But if you go to part 1, there's part 1. Now you can see that you can actually adjust the daily dose. Said I'm dosing 21 milliliters of 1, and then that equals to 42 of part 2, and then 10.5 of 3 and 4. So as far as the conclusion goes, really nothing else has changed besides my original previous thoughts on part 1. My corals are getting more color, my fish are looking better. I am noticing more polyp extension, everything's stable, a lot of growth. So those are all good things. That's all we want. Also, I will be doing a review on Dr. Tim's Waste Away and Refresh. There it is. So I got this because I was having cyanobacteria issues with my fish only system. And I've tried everything, dosing beneficial bacteria, doing more frequent water changes, dimming my lights, because cyano is photosynthetic. I tried doing blackouts, I tried chemi-clean. Oh, I tried everything. And then I tried this, and it works. It actually worked. It did work for my fish only system, so I'm a little bit more nervous using this in my reef tank because I do have dinoflagellates. I've had dinoflagellates since the tank started. The new tank syndrome, that's when dinoflagellates hit. It's when I first set up the tank initially. I guess I had my nitrates were 0, everything was bottomed out, so the dinos started flourishing. And I've done the 3-4 day blackouts multiple times. It does go away, but then it comes back. I've tried reflux, I've tried everything that's out there. I tried dosing live phytoplankton, you name it, I've tried it. But I heard that this actually works for dinos too. So since this actually did work so well for my fish only system, I'm curious, for my cyano, I'm curious what this will do to my dinos. So yeah, I'm gonna post a video on that very soon after I start the treatment, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. Yeah, so like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Happy reefing.